So what I'm going to do right now, my objective is you've been hearing a lot about collaborative, structured learning collaborative maybe, and I'm going to give a bit of an overview of what a collaborative looks like and a few expectations, and then we can come to questions. And we're also going to hear from some teams who have previously participated in a collaborative to get some very specific examples of what it felt like from their experience and some of the recommendations. So the HIV Continuum of Care Collaborative, the collaborative model was developed by the Institute for Healthcare Improvement. And what it really is just a structure for learning and action that connects a number of teams to close a gap between what we know and what we're actually doing. And so that's the evidence and practice gap. And every collaborative sort of looks like a little bit of a version like this. There's activities, methods, and some models that are embedded into this. And so it begins really with a topic, and we've already discussed that we have some clear gaps in care. And so the difference between what we're actually doing or what we're seeing in practice and the evidence is obvious to us. And Rolando shared a little bit about this. From one end of the cascade, we have 1 in 4 people living with HIV who are unaware of their infection. To the other end of the cascade, where nearly 50% are unsuppressed. So that really forms our topic. And when we take this topic, we speak with leaders, we have them shape it, we ask for what are their improvement aspirations, and then an expert group meeting is convened where we talk about that gap in greater detail. And we think about what is possible given the current context. What are some of our ideas for closing gaps in care? And so then we think, well, who can actually influence the continuum of care? Who can change things? And so that's where the teams come in. And November 19th, that's today, we come together for the first time and orient ourselves to these methods, models, and start talking about planning for the year ahead. And so this launch, of course, is the orientation to the aims, expectations, and key activities to prepare for the first learning session. And a little later this morning, I'm going to talk to you a bit about this preparation manual, and everyone's received a copy, I think. If you haven't, let me know. But there is a new version of the preparation manual, and it has a few key updates, and we've called it just 2.0 just to distinguish it. And I'll come back to all of these pieces, but this is really the preparation phase that takes us from today through to January 29th, which is the tentative date for the first learning session. And then at that first learning session, you're going to learn a lot more about these methods and models. You're going to learn really specifically about some of the aims and your aims, how you might play into this, the measurement package. So how are we all going to measure our progress towards achieving our aims? And then the change package provides some more specific changes that you might be able to apply from other teams, from evidence. And so there are 3 learning sessions, so they're punctuated by about 3 to 4 months. And during these times, we come together, we learn from each other, we share ideas, and we plan for as we move into the action periods. And action periods are really just the time between the learning sessions when we're working on testing some of these ideas out in our current practice, and then we're working on collecting and reporting on some key measures. And throughout that period, we also have a number of supports. So we'll come together in monthly teleconferences to share ideas. We'll have quarterly webinars, which are shaped very specifically from your reports and some of the things that are on your mind and challenges. There's also a website that's available with resources and a discussion forum and key dates. A listserv will be set up so that everyone can be connected as they're working through this. And feedback and coaching is, of course, also available based on some of the reports. And that'll take us through to January 28th, which is the closing Congress. And the closing Congress is really about reflecting on where we've come, the sharing and harvesting a lot of those ideas, and then really planning for sustainability as we move forward. So I'm going to go on a little bit of a detour here and just set up for Sam, Pauline, and Paul, who are going to share some of their experiences in the collaborative. In December of 2010, a structured learning collaborative also occurred called the Stop HIV/AIDS Collaborative, and some of you have been a part of this. And some of the things that we saw in that collaborative were 16 diverse improvement teams participated. These teams represented about 2,600 people living with HIV. Some of the very high-level outcomes were we increased the proportion engaged in care by 12% to 90% when we compare starting point to end point. 340 more people suppressed and on treatment. 96% agreed that it was a valuable professional development opportunity, and 91% agreed or strongly agreed that they were able to improve patient outcomes.